Hi, my name is Eli Wohlenhaus. I am the executive editor of Southern Maryland News, DC Military Publications, among other things. But today I'm very, very glad that I can be joined by Dr. Anna Meyssami. She is a dentist for Gentle Family Dentistry in Dunkirk, Maryland, here in Calvert County. Gentle Family Dentistry is a award-winning dental office. They are the reader-approved winner in 2018-2019 for Southern Maryland News and the Calvert Recorder. So hello and welcome to you.
Hello.
So you are not just a dentist, you are a writer, you do a bunch of other things. And it is very cool to just have you here. I'll start with dentistry. I guess one of the main questions I think anyone would have of a dentist is, why did you choose it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of funny. The idea of being a dentist was first kind of planted in my head by my parents back when I was in sixth grade.
Hmm.
I just always had great experiences with my dentist and my orthodontist at the time, and they just said, "Why do you want to be like them?" And I said yes. And obviously, I didn't really know what that entailed at the time, but
Hmm.
as I grew older and explored it and other options as well, it just was a clear fit for me. I always knew I wanted to pursue something in healthcare because that's how I wanted to help people and serve. And dentistry just made sense for me because I also love to work with my hands, and there's so much art involved in dentistry. And I've always been into art. And it's just very rewarding and satisfying. Yeah, I love it.
Did you have to go through a lot of dental work growing up? You spend a lot of time there or?
I did get orthodontics, like braces, when I was younger. I mean, I've always visited the dentist. It hasn't been too extensive or anything, but always good experiences.
I spent a lot of time in elementary school once the adult teeth started coming in
Mhm.
with it just was a bad look. So I'm grateful for all the orthodontia that I went through,
Uh-huh.
but I think it had the opposite effect. I mean, it's like I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to be around this
Really?
every day. So it's noble of you to do that. Now you are lifelong Maryland resident, but now
Yeah.
you're in Calvert County. What's one of the best parts of Calvert County?
I'd say how friendly the people are. It's just a great community, and I love interacting with my patients. You just kind of automatically feel like you're friends with them. It's a great environment.
Sure. So what's the schooling process like for dentists?
So you get your bachelor's degree, and then it's 4 years of dental school. And then at the end of that, you're a general dentist. And then if you want to specialize and become an orthodontist, for example, or oral surgeon, different things like that, then you do extra training through residencies.
What kind of bachelor's degree do you have to pursue?
Um, Basically anything as long as you're taking the prerequisite courses, which are like science courses and things like that. I actually got my bachelor's in psychology and minored in neuroscience,
Okay.
and then like took all the extra courses that I needed to for dental school. But I wanted to have something else that I was exposing myself into at the time.
Sure. So if I were to go into dental school at this point with a Bachelor of Science in Journalism, I
Mhm.
probably what would that look like?
You could, but you would have to take the science courses like biology, chemistry, things like that.
Couldn't do it. Not That's not for me at all.
Uh-huh.
Um, so one thing that you and I had previously talked about before we started recording was how recently you started. You said you started in 2020.
Yes.
What's the last year been like? I mean, schooling straight into dentistry in a pandemic.
Yeah.
What's that process been like? What's that been like for you?
It was a little hectic at the beginning because I think everyone was just confused. We just didn't know about the virus and what implications it had, and there was just so much fear going around. Um, but honestly, it hasn't been too bad because, and I always say this, dental professionals are already so well trained in infectious control measures. It's just ingrained in us from the beginning. So of course, it became more intense once the pandemic hit, and we had to be extra careful. We had to use N95 masks and be very aware of the dental aerosols and things like that. But we already kind of approached dentistry with that mindset of universal precautions and really trying to avoid getting infected and infecting our patients. So,
So what do you think the industry looks like moving forward as we're starting to get away from all the restrictions and regulations?
I think only time will tell. I think we're just so hyper aware of dental aerosols now
Hmm.
um, that we're always, I think, going to be um, extra careful about trying to keep that contained and everything. We already were, but it's just extra measures. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. Time will tell.
Yeah, is there anything that you learned in your schooling then when you started amid a pandemic that is different, and then do you think will stick around after the pandemic is finally over?
Hmm. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, the main difference is the fact that we're always wearing masks.
Right.
Yeah, our patients never really see our faces. It's just a little bit weird, but we're all used to it now.
Hmm.
And the N95 masks, I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, but we're double masking, N95 and a level 3 mask on top of that. Um, all the PPE, I guess, it's a lot more than what we were doing in dental school. So potentially that'll last, but I'm really not sure. Yeah.
Well, let's give you a softball dentist question, then I'll ask kind of a hard one for you. Okay, so softball is, why is dentistry so important? Why is it so important that people take care of their teeth?
It is very important. Oral health can affect systemic health. Um, if a dental infection gets really bad, it can actually lead to other problems in the body. So you never want it to get there. Um, Being in pain, in dental pain, it's just it just takes over your whole life,
Mm.
and so that's just one of the parts of it that I was really drawn to, is getting people out of pain. Um, and yeah, being able to function properly, it affects how you talk, how you eat, how you feel about yourself. So yeah, it's all in all very important.
So then what is something that dentists recommend that you think is probably the most important, the most important aspect of dental health that maybe is neglected?
I guess a couple of things, if I can give you a couple of answers.
Please,
Um,
yes.
One is maintaining proper home care. So actually brushing twice a day, using toothpaste with fluoride in it, and flossing at least once a day. It's just the basic preventative measure that you can take so that you avoid issues. And also maintaining dental appointments, coming in and getting cleanings and getting x-rays done, because sometimes you just can't see what's going on. So coming in and getting checked out.
Okay, so then what is something that dentists recommend that maybe isn't so important that you just say it and like people, they don't need to actually floss?
I knew you were going to bring up flossing, actually, as soon
That's
as
the
you
one
said
thing everyone's always, oh yes, I floss. I mean, and what you floss like the day before you go see the dentist, so you can not lie, but it's,
right, right. Yeah, unfortunately, or rather fortunately, everything that we recommend it's backed by science, and believe it or not, we have your best interests at heart. So our recommendations are all true and they're good advice.
that's great. Well, what does the future then look like for you? Right now you're at another practice. Someday would you want to have your own? And what would that look like?
Potentially, I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'm very happy at General Family Dentistry, and I think I'll be there for a while. So We'll see.
Well, that's great. Well, another aspect of your life that I teased at the beginning is you like to write. You said that you like the artistic expression of dentistry. Could you maybe explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I've always been involved in the arts. I love to be creative however I can. Dentistry really does involve a lot of art and problem solving, especially when it involves more aesthetic and cosmetic situations. So that's just really satisfying, giving someone their smile back. But outside of dentistry, I like to explore different kinds of art. Like I've done painting and things like that, but more recently I've gotten involved in things like wood burning or string art, or I just like to dabble in a lot of
Mhm.
different. I like doing things with my hands. And I guess like segueing into writing, that obviously involves so much creativity and it is an art form in and of itself. And I've been writing since childhood. It's my number one hobby.
So I obviously like writing. That's why I'm here. I got into it because I like to read. Would you say you're an avid reader?
I am definitely.
What's
Yeah.
what's some of your favorite things to read besides Southern Maryland News?
Yes. I love reading fantasy. Since childhood, I've been reading fantasy and like young adult children's books, adult books, science fiction, things like that. Harry Potter was my childhood. And then I was also really into Lord of the Rings, the His Dark Materials trilogy.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Who is your favorite all-time author?
So this is actually going more into historical fiction. I know I
Okay.
said I'm a fantasy reader, but I read everything. But my favorite book is The Book Thief, and the author is Marcus Zusick. And I think he's just brilliant. His writing and the story is so powerful. I can geek out about it.
Sure. So among all of the schooling for dentistry, everything you've done, you also decided to self-publish a book. And it's
Yeah.
actually a series. You've published one. You said it came out in 2019, and you've got another one on the way in July of this year. So, do you want to give us a brief synopsis on what your book series is?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the Marrows series, and it's a children's fantasy series about marrows, which is the term I use for mer people, like mermaids and mermen. And it follows the story of a young boy and a young girl who discover that they're marrows in a world where these mer people were believed to have been extinct for over a century.
Mm,
And we follow their adventures as they try and figure out why the marrows went missing all those years ago and what secrets they're holding. Um, and it explores themes of self-acceptance, self-love, as well as accepting others and their differences, as well as the importance of family, friendship, teamwork, things like that.
sure. Do you write as the main character, or do you write as a like an like outside viewer?
Yeah, it's third person, so more
Gotcha.
outside viewer.
Okay.
Mhm.
Have you ever thought, is that, was that an intentional choice, and is that something you'll probably stick with in future writing projects?
Yes, I did explore with first person, so basically being the main
Hmm.
character, but this was just a better fit.
What's the what I guess you could explain the difference in the challenges of writing between first person and third person.
Um, Basically, first person, you just have to really be able to take on the personality of the author of the main character, and it doesn't always have to be actually the main character
Hmm.
who is narrating. Um, Third person, perhaps you have to kind of think about perspective, I guess, when you're thinking first person versus third person. First person is much more narrow. It's what the main character or the narrator is seeing.
Mm,
Third person, you can include some other things in it as well, which is one of the reasons why I lean towards that.
sure. So where can people find your book and then your second book coming up too?
Yeah, so it's available through major bookstores online, like Barnes and Noble, as well as Amazon.
The good
Yeah,
one. Can people check it out from the library?
at this time, not yet. No,
Ah, see, that's
I'm
something you'll
finally
have to.
getting there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Uh, well, this conversation has been fantastic. I'm sure we could talk about a lot more. So I thank you for joining me again. This is Dr. Anna Meyssami. She's at Gentle Family Dentistry in Dunkirk, and you are accepting patients, I imagine, and you want to meet more people and help people on their way to their healthy lives. So thank you for joining us, and yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll talk again soon, hopefully.
All right. Thank you for interviewing me.